Hi, in this video we're going to look through the basics of electrolysis, so what it is and what happens during electrolysis. We're going to start by saying that this is the setup of electrolysis, so this image is electrolysis, and it is the process of electrolysis is the separation of ions in a solution. So it's separating the ions, so it might be sodium chloride and you want sodium on its own, so a way of separating that sodium from the chlorine is to use electrolysis. So in that case you would have your positive sodium ion, so we're going to do that with the orange colour, and the chlorine negative ions would be the red ones. And what we do is we use electricity. So it uses electricity, which is where its name comes from, electrolysis, electricity, to separate the ions. So there are two things. There is a positive electrode and a negative one. So depending on how it's set up, one of these rods, which are usually made out of carbon, one of these carbon rods are positively charged and one's negatively charged, and that's because of the electricity in that circuit there. These carbon rods are often referred to as electrodes. So we have a positive electrode here, and that's often referred to as an anode. A-N-O-D-E. And then on this side it would be the negative electrode, because there is the minus sign next to it. And the negative electrode is known as the cathode. Now, you're not likely to need to know the names of the cathode and anode, but it's good to have that understanding. So what you can use to remember this is panic. So in your exam, you need to panic. Positive anode, negative is cathode. So that's how I remember which one's which. So now we've labelled it up a little bit, what actually happens? So we turn the electricity on, we pop the battery in, and it causes a flow of electricity through the circuit. So we've got the two electrodes, we've got the solution with the positive and negative ions. And what happens is those positive ions are attracted to the negative electrode, and these negative ions are attracted to the positive. So opposites attract. Let me just push that one over there. So opposites attract. So our positive ions are going to be going over to the negative electrode, which is also known as the cathode, whereas our negative ions are going to go over to the positive anode, or the positive electrode. So opposites attract during this reaction. And then what happens is these were ions at the electrode. The ions become atoms again. So you go from having your sodium positive ion to a sodium atom. No longer has that charge. So just an overview, we've got electrolysis separates ions using electricity. The opposites attract, so our positive ions go to our negative electrode, whereas our negative ions would go to the positive electrode. And when they arrive at the electrode, the ions become atoms. So that's a summary of what's happening during electrolysis, a real basic overview of what's happening.